Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we'll be continuing our study on Python. So to cover last time, we made this script with this code to read the CSV file, smartphone battery drain dataset, and we did some basics. You know, we checked that the code will run to and asked it to print the top 5 rows, and as we can see here, 5, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that the data set was read properly, the CSV files. And then we also asked Python to give us the title of the columns, which are here. Okay. We have we also asked Python to tell us how long the data set is, how many rows there are, using the len and the name of the data set. So it counted the number of rows and stored it in the variable data length, which is an integer, meaning that we have whole numbers. And then we told Python to print it with the dataset has this many entries. Remember to put that in quotes, and then we put the comma and then the name of the variable. And there's 2,503 entries in the dataset, so 2,503 rows. And then we asked it is, print dataset dot is NA. We're asking, is this entry, is it, um, what, is it missing an entry? And as we can see, a lot of it is no, false, meaning that there is an actual number, actual valid data. And then we ask it to count. So is what dataset dot is an a parentheses dot sum. We're asking it to count the missing values in the dataset. So we see we got 5 missing values in CPU usage and 5 missing values in battery temperature. Okay. Next, we're trying to get information about the dataset because sometimes in data science, when you're working with data, you need to know if you're working with string data, with numerical data, categorical data. So we use dataset.info parentheses to tell us information about what every column has. And as we can see here, the first row, well, the first column, app running, we see that there are 2,503 entries. None of them are empty. Well, it's a column that's not empty, I should say. And then it's an object, meaning that it's a string. So it has text information. And we look at the output here. This is the app running. So Facebook, PUBG, Maps, WhatsApp. You know, that's the name of the app, so that's string. And then screen on time, CPU usage, battery temperature, battery drop per hour. It says float 64, so that's a 64-bit floating point. And as we can see, we got decimals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then another object meaning is another string. And then brightness level, it's an integer, meaning that this is the setting for brightness, which is going to be a whole number, which, when you adjust the brightness on your phone, it's percentages like on a laptop between 0% and 100%. So that's whole numbers. And then another decimal for RAM usage. And then two strings, to say whether it's charging or not. And then get usage mode. So what is the person using the phone for? Gaming, social media, browsing, or video streaming, so on and so forth. And then on this last row right here, this last code chunk it'll repeat the same thing we did on top. Yeah. Okay, so for today we're gonna continue using that information. So we're gonna, you know, let's document our steps. And this code. And so you put a pound sign, hashtag. Let's say reading the CSV file. We're documenting our code so that someone else can read the code with comments. And as we do that with the hashtag, the pound symbol. So we need to import pandas since we know we're going to use pandas to read a CSV. And then we'll go back on the dataset equals pd.readCSV uh, parentheses. And then we need to check the name of our file, which we have here. So I'm going to just rename to copy the text. Copy to not make a mistake. I'm just gonna paste it. Control V. Oh, Control V. There we go. And don't forget .csv. And then again, we're just gonna check to see if everything correct imported properly. So we're gonna do dataset .head to print the first 5 rows. Oh, we need to save the file. We need to save it in the same folder, under downloads and archives. We need to save it in the same folder as our CSV so I can read it. We can see I ran perfectly. Now, let's check the recording time. Since this is going to be a YouTube video, I think I'm only now 20 minutes. So, uh, that was, we're about at 10 minutes. So I got 10 more minutes. So let's see, what more code do I want to do? Well, what I'm going to show you is, yeah, we will create a data frame of just the app running column. So we want to take just a slice, just the app running column, and make it a column of itself. So we're going to say We're going to call it app run call column equals pd.dataframe, and then that's dataset, uh, brackets, and then we need to give it the name of the exact column we want to use, and then we're going to print app run column just to see if it printed properly. And as you can see we get 5. Let me show you what happens when you remove the dot head. It prints more. But you see, compared to just, here, let's make a quick code here on the side, print dataset. It'll print everything, all the columns. So what we're doing here, this part right here, the one with the brackets and the quotes, is that we're telling Python, I only want this particular column. So let's go ahead and try another column. Let's not forget to create a note for anyone that wants to use, that may want to use the code for later reference. So we're going to call it use mode equals pd.dataframe dataset bracket. We're gonna see usage mode. We see that's right here. That's the name, usage mode. So that's what I need to type. Capital M. So we need to use exactly the same capital M, because Python does not interpret. It's not a person. It can't think for itself. So it's just doing exactly what I tell it. So we're going to print, oh, usage mode, and then we're going to column. Now, why am I using this note, choosing this for names? Well, mainly because it's a lot easier once you go further down into programming to read code and to understand at what point you're working on. Sometimes you have to normalize your data. Sometimes you gotta break your data set and split it into a test training set. So giving it appropriate names helps you remember. So we run this code and we see we got just the usage mode. Why would this be handy? Well, let's say for example, I want to make a new data set. Let's call it dataset 2. So data, so I am going to tell it to print the columns so that I can know the names, and making a data frame with only the screen time, CPU usage, and charging state. So we're going to do dataset 2 equals PD data frame, dataset, and we're going to be working with screen on time min. Then I said CPU usage, so CPU usage parentheses. And notice that I have to follow the naming notation of the columns exactly because I'm telling Python which columns I want to use. And when we print this dataset 2, it should have only those 3 columns. And let's see. And now let's run it. Now we got an error. Oh, we didn't give it a proper. So since we're making a list of columns, we need to give it the double brackets. There we go, you see? Because I'm telling Python, alright, dataset, take this slice of this. Okay, now we can see we have just those 3. And then, if we wish, we can do exporting new dataset as a CSV. So we're going to say dataset the to CSV. Let me make sure I'm doing that right. How to export to CSV Python. So, oh, okay. So to CSV. Oh, we need to give it here. Format. Let's look at the syntax. So we give our data frame, which we have. Oh, looks like I closed. Here we go. To CSV. Let's call the file uh, let's call that cell phone to follow the same naming format. We're going to use cell phone subdata dot CSV. Yeah. And now we're gonna say sep equals semicolon. And now we should see that we have cell phone subdata.csv. And now let's open that with a text editor. Because what I did here, that's a separator value. CSV stands for comma separated values. By doing this flag right here, I am asking Python that to make the new file where the separators is a semicolon. And as you can see here, yeah, just like on the cell phone battery, if I open that with text editor, I'll see that it's open by that is separated by commas. That's telling the file system, well, Python basically, that wherever you see a comma, that's a new entry, that's a new column. Now, why does that matter? Well, let me show you. Because if we try to get this new data set, we'll call it df for DataFrame, and we try to open it, pd.read underscore CSV. And we got to use the same we gave it, the name we gave it, subdata.csv. And if we try to print it, we'll see that it won't print properly. Here, we get this. Why do we get this jarbled mess? Because Python is looking for the commas to separate the columns. So we need to tell Python separator equals. We're telling, okay, Python, we're not separating the files, the columns by commas, but with semicolons. So when I run it again, there it goes. Oh, it's created an index. Let's see. You see this column right here that we didn't. There we go. We got rid of the index column. So it's a column of just saying, oh, this data entry 1, 2, 3, 4 until the 2503rd data entry. And by telling it the index, you know, the Python won't read it. When it writes the new um, data set, it'll write it as without the index. So that's what we have. I showed you how to manipulate some of the data sets, of the data frames. Next time, I hope that we can look at more advanced selections, and perhaps I might go deeper into the topics of data types. I I said I would do it today, but I can't because I haven't been able to find a textbook that's open source. So all the textbooks that I have are PDFs, but they're from when I was in school, so I can't link it to you. If I can find an open source textbook, I'll make sure to put it in the in the description. All right, I hope that was helpful. Have a wonderful day.